Hey there guys, my name is Marcus, and in this video I'm going to share with you my step-by-step process, my framework on how you can do the somatic experiencing by yourself at home. There was a wonderful post on Reddit that if I had an hour a day just for myself to do a somatic experiencing, what would you say that I do? And this video is specifically for you, and I hope it's going to be beneficial. I spent years working with the deep wounds inside my own body and even continually doing so. And in the beginnings, when I was looking for the information, YouTube videos, I've read books, and I didn't find any framework, any guidance. It's like, yes, there are a lot of meditation practices, how to understand and tame the mind, but how to actually transform the wounds inside the body, when there is something so painful. I couldn't find any information at all. And all what I found were the medical terms or the medical books that didn't really experience. Is okay, but there is a pain and I want to be free. And then I was frustrated. I couldn't get the information anywhere. And I decided I'm going to take it into my own hands. I'm going to figure it out, all the pain within. I'm going to dive into the trenches, into the hell within, to understand what is actually happening. And that's how my journey started. At first, it was pure hell. I didn't know what was happening. I was re-traumatizing myself. It's like I was pushing too much. Then I was trying to get rid of it. I had resistance towards it. So it wasn't good at all. But slowly I started to figure it out, how it actually works. And then what I found out is that how they say you have all the power within to heal? It's so much true. But it takes there are so many steps important that when you want to dive into yourself. So let's just start with the guide. First, let me share with you the bird view, the process, how it works. Then I'm going to share with you the important things that you need to know. And then I'm going to share with you the practice that you can start doing by yourself. So there is a wound, there is a stress present in the body, tension, trauma that we are aware of. And what we need to do is the same thing as what we do with the crying child, and let's say I'm a mother. So I would provide it care, understanding, compassion, love, and give it freedom and learn how to be with it. So how it works, I would close my eyes and I would have maintained a regular relaxed breathing into the belly through the nose without having resistance that the wound is present, that something that uncomfortable is present in the body, and I'm sharp and I'm still, and I learn how to feel through it and re-experience it. So there is a wound, this is like the breath, and I'm learning how to continually feeling through it while being still and while being okay that it's there, that I don't really mind it. Now, why it works like that? Only because when we were children and we were wounded, there was something traumatic happened, and there weren't anyone who would hold space for us. We didn't feel safe to process it. But right now, when we are adults, we can provide the things that weren't provided for us. And what is also great is the using nature as kind of help, that you would come to nature when you will feel relaxed. And then you're going to do the same thing, but you're going to let the nature help you with the providing safe space and with the regulation. Now, what I encourage you to do, I invite you to my community where we learn how we can transform the suffering, how we can tame the mind, how we can understand what is happening within with ourselves, and how we can become more free. And we can help each other out on our journey in this life to feel more at peace. So if you're interested, the link is down below in the description. And yeah, let's just go further. So at the start, we are actually identified with the wound itself. So there is a wound and we're with the wound. Now, what is important thing is the diffusion and understanding that the wound, that the emotions, that the thoughts are not me. And then I learn how to approach the wound, but at the start it can feel very overwhelming. So I approach the wound, it's it's too much. So what needs to be done is that when this happens, that, for example, you even approach it and it throws you out completely, that you're in a dullness mode and it's too much. Then what you need to do, you have to get something pleasant, like watching the clouds, watching the stars, or a flower, and then get more energy and then approach it again and learning how to work with it continually and learning how to feel through it. This is the same thing as if you would be a gym. So in a gym, when I was there first time, I didn't start lifting very heavy weights. I start with a lower weight, and this is a very similar approach. We learn how to continually learning how to feel what is present. And then what happens is that there is a state that you can get is that you don't really mind that is there. That you have regular breathing and you feel more regulated, you feel more at peace. And while you're maintaining the breath, something's there. And it can be attention, a stress, and you're just like regular breathing and you don't really mind that. So this is like very great development phase. So the more we are going to feel through the stress, feel through the wounds, the more free we are going to feel in our own bodies, and we're going to be more at peace. And how it works, the most important thing is deciding that I can heal, that I'm capable. Understanding that I'm an adult and I can do it. And I'm not a child anymore. Deciding that I take responsibility for my own life. Deciding that I have the power within to heal myself. Because the most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any. This is very important. Now, when we're gonna go further, what I encourage you to do is drop the need to heal or release. In the moment when we are in this state that I need to process it, I need to release it, I need to heal, then it means is that I'm putting pressure on myself, I'm more in tension, I'm putting more stress on myself, and I'm in this scarcity mode, like that I don't have enough. So for me, the goal is to be awakened. When I drop into the thoughts, like, I awaken, I go back to the breath, be more present, be more still, learn how to be more sharp, because the healing is kind of the byproduct of that. So don't focus on time in meditation. Like, let's say I want to practice for like 20 minutes now. It's like, yeah, but I can't even stay with 20 minutes. Have goals for the states that, okay, I want to be awakened from the thoughts, awakened from the dullness. We will get to it. And as I mentioned, the most important thing also is to not caring that the wound is present. This is such a huge thing, is that the less problem I have is not kind of like you don't care about it. It's like right now I'm going to party because there are no wounds. No, what do I mean by that is that you feel it through, it's there, but it's like, all right. And you just like breathe. It's like, okay, there is a stress. And this is the same thing, like if you'll be a crying child, right? And I'm like, you need to stop. You need to stop crying now, right now. Oh my God, why are you crying? No, why you're crying too much? Like, yeah, just come here. It's all right. I got you. And I got 2 kids, right? So it's like I see it, the difference there. I hope it makes sense. So now I'm going to share with you what are the things that helped me in my healing process and what are the things that didn't help me in my own healing process. Prioritizing, understanding where my energy is going was the key. And not about what more I need to do, but understanding what I need to cut off from my life and what I need to, let's say, do differently. So, sleep, diet, exercising. These are focusing on the basics, but they are very important because let's say I would go to sleep at 1 a.m. scrolling TikTok and watching TV shows and playing video games. Now, if I would do that, and let's say in the next day I want to do the inner work and dive deeper into myself, if I would start doing that, I would start falling asleep. I would start falling into dullness. I wouldn't have energy only because I will be sleep deprived. That's something that I found out. In the moment when the more sleep is better, then I can have more energy for healing. So first step, and that's like going to sleep about around 9 p.m. It's not every day perfect with the children or with a partner. It's like the things can happen, but this is something that I prioritize a lot. And also not being on the display in the evening. All very beneficial. And learning how to be more relaxed when I go to sleep. So that's something that is important. Of course, like everybody is different. That's something that helped me. Focusing on the diet, I'm not going to say which diet is the best or worst, like if it's a vegan, if it's keto, if it's carnivore, everybody's different. So for me, what works is actually experimenting on myself, what food I like and don't like. But I found out when I eat a lot of sugar, I don't feel great. And there are like sugar spikes, then I like go up and I fall down. And again, I can't be still, I can't be sharp, I can't be fully here because I'm just like tired all the time. And less the simple sugar I eat from the sweet stuff, the better I feel. I still eat fruits, like I love fruits during the summer. That's something that I'm okay with. But this is something that I found out for myself, that sugar or even coffee is not that great for me. Exercising. So exercising, I do strength training and I swim. Again, that's something that is like very beneficial and I like it. Now, what I found out is that the more at peace and more healed I feel, the easier it is for me to exercise and to move my body. It just comes naturally. That's very fascinating. So that's for the first thing here. Now, the next thing are distractions. This is huge in our society primarily, because in our society we are continually getting dissociated out of our bodies. We are not capable of feeling because we are just like addicted to cheap dopamine primarily. So all the TV shows, movies, games, music, this is my hot take, of course, radio, pornography, scrolling, that we don't even remember what reels or we saw or what kind of like YouTube shorts we watched. There are no memories, no experience, no skills, only like dissociation out of body. And then what happens is that there is this, I don't know, like a layer that I put over like a carpet, That's a temporary relief from the suffering. So I put a carpet over it so I don't feel myself, and I kind of like dissociate, and I have this pleasant dullness that I'm not really here, that I get completely consumed by, let's say, a movie, a TV show. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's, sometimes I watch a cartoon with the kids. Is that it's not like I would like block myself, but I don't actively search it. Again, that's something I found out, because I would be, I was someone that was listening to music a lot in the past. In the moment when I would be alone, I would have music in my ears. I'm like, I love music. But you know why? Because I was heavily wounded inside and I didn't know what to do about it. Therefore, I was running away to whatever thing. And if it wouldn't those things, I would be daydreaming a lot, like daydreaming and like thinking all the time, because there will be just pain in me. Now, and I found out the more work I started doing on myself is that the music would still constantly like take my attention. And I'm like, I listen to music like 2 hours a day, podcasts, whatever. And then I want to do the inner work. And then my attention will go like constantly to the words from the songs. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't want that. I want to dive deeper within. So I completely stopped listening to music. And sometimes I listen to a song, but it's like, I don't know why, one time per week. Even when I'm driving, it's silence. We sold all our TVs at home. I'm like, I don't need that. Like, we don't need it at home. And again, that's us. That's what works for me. I know that many years ago, I couldn't drop listening to music, or I couldn't even drop playing video games, but I don't play video games anymore because like, I don't need it. I just feel peace. And what actually happens is that I found out is that the cheap dopamine actually stresses the body. Maybe, I don't know if there is like some science behind it, but it's not natural to have exposure to this cheap dopamine so much. And what actually happens when there are release of chemicals, I will get to it, when there are release of chemicals, we are not actually capable of feeling through things, because then the chemicals needs to also quiet down, and then we are capable. And we will get to it. Okay, the third thing, mind. This is very important. Now, with the mind, there is a wonderful book called The Mind Illuminated. That's something that is very important, because first we need to tame the mind. And when we are going to tame the mind, then we are capable of like diving deeper within. So the mind is very important to be tamed and to be present, and not like continually capture our own attention. This takes time. This is not like a 1 week thing. Okay, so first we have to learn how we're gonna like sit every day. The great book, The Mind Illuminated, highly recommend to checking it out. That's something that helped me much for understanding how the mind operates. You want to choose the breath as your meditation object, and you want to return when you forget. And this is where it's very important, the continual practice. Consistency is the key. Being disciplined, compassionate, and have consistency. So that's what I found out. So I return when I forget, but how it works is that I start with the breath and I maintain the regular breathing. I feel the sensations, but I don't focus on it. I'm aware of the breathing. In the moment when my attention goes to thinking, I awaken from like, aha, so I was thinking again, and I go back. So I'm kind of like motivating myself, reprogramming myself that the present moment is where I want to be. Then reducing mind wandering. So I notice when the mind wanders, and then again, I gently return to the breath and celebrate noticing that, yes, I notice it. That's so good. Then you learn how to stay with more breaths in a row. Like, it's not going to be 2, 3. You're going to be like 25, 30. And then you're going to learn how to catch distractions sooner, and you're going to be more present. And we're going to like keep returning. And then we're going to overcome gross distraction. This is very important. What happens is that there are not like the thinking straight up, but there is like a dullness. That we just like, there is something that we're not fully present, fully sharp. If someone will open the door, it will awake us. And we want to keep most attention on the breath, notice strong distractions without following them. And you want to maintain continual awareness. And that's something that is like, we can get to it in the group. And I want you to get there, where I'm going to dive you through like whenever position you are, but the mind needs to be learned how to tame. If we are going to get constantly distracted by the mind and by the outside world, we can't really process much. That's why in the outside world there is a chaos. There is a wonderful quote from Jung: the one who looks outside dreams, the one who looks inside awakens. And then what actually happens, we're going to overcome the dullness when we're going to be like more alert and bright, and we're going to notice when we're going to like want to fall asleep, and we're going to increase interest in the breath. It's like, breath is so good. And what I do right now is that what is my practice is that I continually observe my breath, and I'm relaxed and I'm sharp. And if the kind of like the wounds come, or like there is something happening, I don't really mind that. But also while doing that, I'm actually like aware of all the surroundings. So I'm aware of all the surroundings. I'm aware and interested in a breath. And then the wounds are like coming, and I'm like, yeah, okay, that's okay. And I'm just like breathing. And that's in a way, I'm feeling continually through it, but I don't mind it. And then I become more and more free, more and more peace. So that's what I found out how it actually works. So emotions, very important. If the anger, anxiety, excitement, depression, if there is like sadness, and those states, they are not like stuck deep wounds, but they're like somewhere they like, for example, come, those things need to be taken care of. If I will be full anxiety, with the anxiety comes cortisol. When the cortisol is released in the body, it's not able to process anything. The same thing applies with cheap dopamine. We will get to the chemicals soon. So emotions need to be taken care of. Again, I can help you with the group. So with emotions, with the anger, the very similar approach is that I ground myself. I take a walk and get out of the anger out of my body, understand what is beneath the anger. But emotions are a completely different chapter. But they don't have much with the kind of like healing, with the deep stuff, with the somatic experiencing. But what do I mean emotions? But something like saddens you, or like there is an anger inside the body. That's where you want to learn how to process it first, because before we can dive further, because there are layers, and I will get to the layers soon. So emotions also important to take care of. And then you're going to have the chemicals. This is something that I found out like last year only, that even when I like shared it in a group, they didn't even know about it. It was like meditation group, and I'm like, yeah, this is something that is happening. And they were like, yeah, like how? And they didn't know. I'm like, how don't know it? So this is like the basic stuff. But then I found out is that like I don't really understand it, but I can sense when the cortisol and the various chemicals are being released. And what does it mean? If let's say after exercise there are endorphins being released in the body, and maybe you can sense it. Or let's say when you wouldn't consume, when you had like dopamine detox, you wouldn't consume anything related to cheap dopamine, and then you would play video games. Observe what happens. Observe there is like a release of something, and that's like dopamine there in the body. Same thing if I would be like meeting with the friends, I feel the oxytocin. And I found out is that these chemicals are okay. I'm not saying they are not, but if we are addicted to those, we are not again capable of feeling through something deeper and diving deeper into ourselves. So those chemicals needs to be again tamed too. So those means is that I regulate how I'm exposed to cheap dopamine. I regulate with the people that I meet. Even when I'm people with the meet, I'm excited, I'm everything, but I'm not like, I'm always present on myself. So that means is that how there are like those women in Africa, they got like these things on their head where they're like water or like fruits or something. And when they meet a friend, they are talking with a friend while being aware of themselves, what they have on their head. This is the same thing. If I would meet you, I'm also aware of myself. I'm fully present, but I'm here, aware of you and aware of myself. So the chemicals are very important. The anxiety, depression, after gym, excited, that's something that you want to also take care of. Because if I would be, we're just like society heavily addicted to chemicals, but then there is a suffering under it, and there are the layers. So we will get to practice, but I want to share with you the layers. The layers are the things that we need to process. So first thing is sleep, right? So the more deprived we are, is not capable to dive deeper into ourselves. So the more the sleep, if it's like taken care of, is like done. Then you're gonna have the mind, right? If we are addicted to the thoughts and everything, this is something that we'll learn how to tame. Then you're gonna have like the chemicals. So if the chemicals are present in the body, we need to first take care of that. So all the dopamine needs to quiet down. Then also anxiety. And again, this is something that needs to learn also how to tame and how to understand. I can do it. It's not that hard to take care of the anxiety if you know how, of course, but that's something that I learn. And the more we're going to go, like a diet and things like that, somewhere there here is like deep wounds. For example, when I would have in the past, like huge release of anxiety, and it was like I would spiral a lot, the cortisol would go like bonkers, and it was like very bad. First, I didn't go like, I'm going to meditate and be aware of the breath, because I didn't feel good. Of course, if something between me and partner happened, or like with the children, I didn't go to meditation because let's say I was angry. There was something present in my body. I'm not perfect, but I know like what works and what doesn't. And I know right now that I manage way better my partner. I'm a way better partner comparing to many years ago. And also with children, it goes like way better. The more love and peace I feel, I just like, it's so easier to be with family. And that's something that I found out, is that first we need to become like more disciplined about other things and learning how to work with those, because for emotions there are different antidotes than deep wounds. For anxiety there is different like antidote. For the mind there is different antidote, and for the deep wounds there is different antidote. So it's like the approach needs to be always different, and I will get to it. Like you can come. So that's something that how it works. Now, when we're gonna go even further, we're gonna go for the practice right now. Okay, what you can actually do. So first, for the practice, if I'm overwhelmed because I had argument with my partner, or if there was like anxiety present in my body and cortisol is getting released, first I take care of those things. Only because I can't really process anything if I'm like overwhelmed by something. So if anxiety, if I let's say would play in the past a video game that would get me like overly excited, first those things need to be quieted down and tamed, and then I can dive deeper into myself. So what I do is that I sit down with a straight back, or I lay down. Now, with laying down, what you want to do is that you want to actually not be tired and know that you're still, because we are programmed from early childhood when we are going to lay down, we are actually going to fall asleep with closed eyes. And when we are going to do it, there's something that happen that you can like fall asleep. With sitting down, you can be more alerted, but also I highly recommend to have the straight back, and you just have like, you can be on the chair, it's okay. It's not something that you have to like push yourself into uncomfortable position. But that's something I found out, straight back or laying down. Be aware of the peripheral awareness. So how I do it is that first I do like a 360 scan, and that's something I want to maintain through the whole session. So all the cars, all the birds, all the dogs, everything that is like surrounds me, I don't block it out. I let it be there, and that's something that helps me with being sharp and present and still. And then I start with a regular breathing, work through the nose to the belly. Not like, like very like surface level breathing, but deeply, but regularly, and I let my body breathe naturally, that I don't try to influence it. And while I'm aware of the 360 awareness, and while I kind of like I'm breathing to the belly, then I start being aware of the breath, and like breathing in, out. And what happens is that then there is like a tension, a wound, or something that is present in the body. And what I do is that while I'm aware 360 of everything, and while I'm aware of the breathing, then I'm aware of the pain. But I'm just like regularly breathing, and the wound is present, and it can like feel very sharp pain. I can start crying, I can start shaking, I can start sweating, and I'm like, that's okay. I just regularly breathe. And that's something that I don't really mind that it's present, that I just hold space for it. I give it complete freedom that it can express itself, and I'm not going to try to influence it. I'm not going to try to get rid of it. This is very important. That's something that was stuck for like a whole year, that I had resistance towards the suffering that was present in my body. So when there is a resistance that I don't want to feel this that is present, what you might see is that you're going to create more tension, you're going to create more suffering for yourself because you start closing yourself, or even you're going to get more tense in the jaw, or like there is this, I don't want to feel it. And then what happens, you're closing yourself. So you are actually not being more relaxed, sharp, present, loving with the wound and with yourself. So 360 awareness, and also it takes practice, of course. And I start being aware of the breath. If I drop to the mind, I notice like, yeah, I was in the mind, and I go back to the breath. Then I start being aware of the breath. and there is a wound present, and I'm continually aware of the breath. Because what happens is that when the trauma or something happened in the past, we get like, and maybe out of that state, we start breathing like in different way, not a relaxed way. So I bring the relaxation to the body. So that's something that I found out. And then I feel the stress while being relaxed. As I mentioned, there is a wound and there is my breath, and I continually start to breathe through it. And while I'm breathing through it, then it weakens. And it can be like very sharp pain, but I just like breathe through it because I know I'm safe. And that's something that helps me and how I do it right now. And you want to be very careful about resistance. This is where in the moment when you are going to be very, that you don't want to feel it, that you will spot it when you have resistance. Like remember it, that you know, and if no, I don't want it. And then I will like more suffer because I'm not here. If it's maybe like the sweating, maybe the crying, maybe sweating, crying, laughing, or maybe like shaking. For me, it was like I was sweating and shaking, and I was like breathing, and I was like constantly like sweating. There was like sweat around my body, and I'm like, that's okay. And I will continue through it. You know, and then for like full hour, it will be like I would have like such a high temperature, but I was completely fine because I was re-experiencing the trauma, but then in a way that I was safer, if it makes sense. And then if it's too much and I stop, it's like, I don't have energy right now. Let's say it was like a lot of work during the day. In the evening, I even tried for like 20 minutes. I didn't even do like full hour because I was just tired. I needed like full sleep, and it's way better to not pressure ourselves, go to bed early, falling asleep, waking up early morning, have energy, and then start doing the work. Because you need to be awake. You need to have energy for doing this work. And that's what I do continually. And then what happens is like, I want to share with you like the end state. The end state is that you are more and more on a breath. You feel more peace at home, and you feel more peace at the body that represents in a way a home. And there is nothing. And out of the nothingness that you become in a way like one with the ocean. You can even say in Christianity like sitting in a God, that you and the God are one. And it feels like heaven. And that's it. And then out of that state, you know, it's like there is like so much peace. But again, in a way, you need to then learn. There is like the next step. The more better you're gonna feel, you need to continue in the practice. Because with this, what comes also responsibility. Because you have to, in a way, like guard the state. Like if I know how to get there, I know how to be there. But if I would start playing video games, if I would start watching pornography, if I would focus too much on the distractions, like it would start influencing me too. If I would be chronically online and like surfing TikTok, YouTube shorts, YouTube videos, watching TV shows all the time, it would start to affect me a lot. And at the start, yes, I would be like maintaining, but it will start to consume me more and more. This is where you have to learn, be very vigilant. And that is why the discipline is very important, this type of work. Without the discipline, it's not possible. Consistently discipline and being compassionate to ourselves on our journey. And you know how they say, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And if you want to go fast and far, find a kind, supportive community. And this is why I'm doing this community, that if I would have this community that I'm building, when I would start this work, it would help me so much. It would speed up my process so much. And I didn't have to like suffer with trying to like figure this out. But maybe that's also the journey. So hope this video provided you value. I tried to give you everything that I learned, how it works. And I'm continually like crafting and learning how to do it better. But yeah, try it out. Be at home when you're going to be like at some point like being more stable, more relaxed, and you have more energy. Start being aware of the breath with regular breathing, with bringing the relaxation, bringing in the love. And when the stress is present, when the tension or like when the pain can be like very sharp and you start feeling it, that's good. You want to regulate the breathing again. It's like, okay, that's a sharp pain. And you want to breathe through it. And notice how you're going to feel. And if you can have any questions, guys, whatever you're going to face, let me down below in the comments. This is the kind of like more deeper, more technical work, but I know it works. Like I'm the proof and the kind of life it proves. So yeah, thank you very much and have a great day.